Hi everyone, it's James here, and I'm being joined today by Oli Arnold of Vanlife Conversions. Now, Oli and I go way back. We met probably close to 20 years ago now at school. So we were at school together. Sort of fell out of touch and got back in touch. I've been following Oli's Vanlife Conversions business on Insta and sort of seen what he's up to, and reached out and asked if he'd like to be a guest on the podcast, which he has duly obliged. So Oli, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thanks, James. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for reaching out, because it's great to be invited onto your show to talk about the business and talk about sort of property as well. So yeah, no, it's great.
Excellent. So, Oli, do you just want to give the listeners a little, because the listeners might be thinking, van conversions, what? This is a property podcast. What's going on here? Do you want to give the listeners a little bit of background to yourself and how you ended up sort of setting up the business as well?
Yeah, of course. So I was in the army for 7 years after university. I was in the Royal Anglian Regiment as an officer, and it got to a point where I was wanting to focus on family life, and I got quite interested in sort of starting my own business and sort of new ventures. I'm 32 now, and yeah, so I left the army, knew I wanted to be sort of self-employed, running a business. Wasn't quite sure what I was going into. I thought maybe property development. I was looking at getting more hands-on with the trade. So I did a qualification in electrics, so a domestic installer. I also went back to college with a charity called Building for Heroes, and they ran a course for army leavers who want to get into construction. So I did plastering, I did plumbing, I did carpentry at Colchester College for a period, which was great because it taught me lots of practical skills. Thinking I was going to sort of do property development, and then my friend from the military, he built a van. He'd come across this thing called Vanlife on Instagram, and he said to me, "Oli, check this out. I'm going to build a van. My wife and I are going to drive to Greece for 2 weeks." And then I kind of helped him out on weekends to build his van. And then I decided that I was going to take my savings for my time in the army and purchase a van. And during sort of my gardening leave and sort of the resettlement process, I built a van for my wife and I, and we traveled a bit of Europe. So we drove to Italy, did Lake Como, Lake Garda. And yeah, it was fantastic. So that's kind of what sort of got the ball rolling with sort of van conversions as a trade, really.
So your sort of day-to-day life now is running the workshop, being hands-on with refurbs yourself, but also managing other people and overseeing tasks. You and your partner kind of run the business as well, so you kind of do all the marketing and all that side of things for the business too, don't you?
Yeah, so the way it developed was really didn't think this would develop into a full-time career. I mean, I built a van primarily for my wife and I to travel before settling into another full-time job or going into sort of another venture. But whilst we were away, we posted our trip on Instagram, and by the time I returned home, we basically had a family friend ask me to do a similar project onto a Volkswagen van that they had just bought. So that van, as well as my first van, I built on my driveway. So it really was sort of starting right back at the beginning. And then for a period of time, I was doing sort of a couple of days a week, helping out people that were building vans themselves. So I traveled to their front garden and spend the day helping them install their solar panels or their carpentry and things like that. And then, I think essentially I built that Volkswagen, and by the time I'd finished that, I had another booking for a bigger van, which is what we specialize in, for a couple that wanted to be sort of long-term living in the van, trying to live sort of a digital nomad life, which is really picked up in recent years. So it's been quite good for the business that we're trending at the moment, and the advances in technology with solar panels, lithium batteries. A lot of people are able to sort of work remotely from their vans with very minimal overheads. So couple of van lifers are into sort of financial independence, and they're able to either rent their house out whilst they live and travel in the van for a period of time, to try and help them on that journey. So no, it's great to be able to provide them with that facility.
How long would it take you to take a bog standard, like normal transit van and turn it into a home for somebody to live in? What's that kind of time frame?
Yeah, so I mean, I've never done a house renovation, so
Yeah.
comparatively, I'm not sure. Like the thing with the van is there's no straight lines, so nothing's square. There's lots of curves to work to. It is a small space, which presents
Mm.
its challenges. But we've sort of logged our builds now taking between 600 to 700 hours.
Yeah.
We build them in pairs, which helps with efficiencies and trying to run a smart, lean workshop to sort of cut down on timings and things like that. So yeah, between 600 and 700 hours, depending on the spec that the customer's going for. And yeah, I think so. We have probably about 10 to 12 weeks to get a pair of vans out. So we're building between 8 to 10 vans a year.
That's sort of good going, and you know, because you're taking a complete carcass. Obviously, when
Yeah.
we buy houses, we've got sort of bits and bobs already in there. We've got, you know, pipe work, framework in that house, and it's kind of an upgrade. You're taking a complete shell and turning it into some, you know, a mobile home, basically a home that people can live and work in. And the kind of the vans that you do, they are like fully working houses. They've got toilets, they've got showers. You know, I've saw one that had a piano in it, and it's just like, this is incredible. Like, how do you fit all of that into such a small space?
Yeah, no, it is great, and that's part of the reason I love the business I'm in, because I do like a bit of everything. I like plumbing, I like electrics, I like carpentry. I didn't want to sort of pigeonhole myself into one specific trade. And yeah, by taking an empty shell, we literally get these vans and strip them completely out. So we're left with the bare metal carcass. And we start through all the first 6 phases, getting them insulated, getting the cable runs, doing the utilities, lining them with plywood, and then obviously we then go into the furniture build. So we do have sort of every sort of function that you have in a house. We've got a shower and a toilet, we've got a kitchen unit, we've got a bed, we've got a dining area. So it is great. We are restricted with space, so there are some considerations with the design. We like to think that sort of over the past sort of 4.5 years, we've optimized sort of in areas we have our model layouts. So we've got 3 different models to suit different needs. But for a period of time, about 2 years of the business, we were doing completely custom. So starting from scratch with every sort of van, which presented challenges, but it also taught us a lot in terms of what works and what doesn't work. We work with the customers on every build. We build up a rapport. We create a mood board for the look and feel that they're after. We do a consultation with them about how they were going to use the van. For some customers, it's there for sort of weekend to week-long trips that they would like to go. But for other customers, some of them are full-time in the van, so they want to be able to work remotely. They need an internet connection. They want to have sort of a spacious interior that looks a certain way. So there's plenty of sort of inspiration out there. A lot of the time, if there's a certain look that the customer wants, we'd be sent a load of photos of other vans or interiors that they like, and we can try and recreate that inside their van. We're continually trying to develop our models. So earlier this year, we released our 3rd model, which is based on a larger van. It's called Iona. So if customers want to have a bigger van than we normally would do, so a 7-meter van rather than a 6-meter, then we've got a layout that sort of is a starting point for us to then develop with them.
And with all these design, you know, the 3 designs that you've got, are they all quite still customizable? If somebody says, I want this, I want that, are you quite flexible with how you can actually, what you can do with them, and how you can operate?
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, we're continually evolving those models. So our first model, which is the most popular, is called Kunu, and that's a fixed bed layout on a 6-meter van. So a lot of people want a fixed bed platform. One, because you can just roll out of bed and you haven't got to make it into a dining area, for example. It's quite good in that way. You also get a large garage space underneath. So a lot of our customers like to go outdoors, cycling and paddleboarding, kayaking, and they can chuck all their wet adventure gear in the garage space underneath their bed. But like, for example, the Kunu model that we built just before Christmas called Priscilla, the customer just asked us if we could sort of, rather than having a 90-degree angle on the shower cubicle, whether we could just make a 45-degree. And what that actually does is eliminates a bottleneck. So it creates more open space in the gangway. And that's a feature that was recommended by a customer that we've then adopted into our future build. So we're continually listening, because a lot of our customers do a lot of research before taking the plunge. So they'll be looking at sort of blog posts and Instagram feeds and things like that. So they sometimes come to us with ideas, and we're more than happy to try and develop that into their build.
When you're obviously renovating in such a small space, what are some kind of maybe tips and ideas that our listeners who are property investors can maybe start to implement into their refurbs?
Sure.
Anything there?
To give you an idea of the space, we're looking at 1.8 meters wide by 3.6 meters long.
So it's like half a living room for some people.
Yeah, in that space, we're fitting a bedroom, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and a chill out area. So what we tend to start with is the bed, which is obviously a really important feature. You spend a lot of time asleep. You want to make sure that you're comfortable. And so, yeah, like I said, the Kunu model is our most popular. The first design we sort of cemented as a model. We're able to fit a full size double in that, which is a real good selling point, I think, for customers. They've got a comfortable bed that they can fit sort of a standard double mattress, standard double bed sheets, duvet, etc. And that's one of the advantages of our preferred van chassis is sort of the Fiat Ducato, Peugeot Boxer, Citroen Relay range. Those three vans, they have the same chassis essentially, so the internal dimensions are the same, and you're able to they're slightly wider than most other vans as well. So we're able to get standard double. Yeah, they're able to sleep widthways across the bed. So I mentioned 1.8 meters. A standard double is 1.9 meters. So what we do at the head and the foot of the bed, we're able to recess 10 centimeters essentially. So 5 at the head, 5 at the foot. And so they can get a standard double mattress. That's our starting point, really. And that's what a lot of customers, they say, we say, do you want a fixed bed or do you want a dinette? Now, if they want a dinette, that is our Milo model, which is again on a 6-meter van. And that bed essentially is formed by the seats at the back of the van. We have a U-shaped sofa area with a dining table in the middle. The advantages of this one over a Kunu is it's a more sociable dining experience. So you can seat 4 or 5 people around. You can play cards, play board games, etc. Some people who are sort of office based might want to have an office in the van, so they might opt for this as opposed to a fixed bed, which provides you with that large garage space instead.
And sort of in the kitchen, we always, when we're renovating our properties, we always kind of say the kitchen is the house, the center of the home. It's kind of the thing that sells the home if you're looking to do flips. Do you find that people want kind of a kitchen as if it was a kitchen in their home, or is it kind of a scaled down kitchen, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, one real point of difference, I think, between the type of vans that we create and the off-the-shelf motorhomes is the kitchens look like a domestic kitchen. We're using solid wood butcher block worktops that you'd find in sort of high-end properties. We've got tiled splashbacks, things like that, and actually the kitchen sink and the kitchen tap, they're domestic sinks and domestic taps. So again, it is lovely because a lot of people go into a van or a motorhome and they expect to see beige and grey and plastic fixtures and fittings. So what we're able to provide is an aesthetic that people walk in and think this is like a contemporary home. It's a
studio flat on wheels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really nice, and we pride ourselves on sort of the painting and decorating. Every aspect of our vans is handcrafted. We build all the furniture, we build all the door fronts by hand in our joinery shop. So yeah, we do like the fact that we aren't sort of purchasing off the shelf kitchen units and things. We're able to sort of build them in house, and with that, we're able to build the units in a way that is efficient in the space. So we use 15mm plywood rather than your standard 18mm carcassing. So things like that, lightweight plywood rather than chipboard, and 26mm worktops rather than 40mm worktops. So there's weight considerations that we bear in mind, and sort of the design of our carcasses is to minimize that weight.
And things like obviously the bathroom, how do you piece together a bathroom in a van? What does that look like? What does that feel like
Yeah,
for the
sure.
user?
Yeah, so the shower cubicles, so looking at sort of the small space and like I talked about the bed earlier is sort of our starting point. The shower cubicle is obviously a really important factor in our design. It's the biggest sort of standalone structure after the bed, because it protrudes out. You've got to be able to obviously sit down and use the toilet. You've got to be able to wash yourself and fit a shower tray in it, for example. And what we found is, because you're going to have such a small space, we want to keep it quite open inside the van. And the location of our shower cubicle is behind the driver's seat. So essentially, it's not halfway down the van, which you do see in plenty of conversions, and some people like that. But what we found is, by having it located behind the driver's seat, you're actually between the bed and the sliding door where you enter the van. It's very spacious. And yeah, like I said, the shower cubicle, if you were to put it next to the bed in the middle of the van, it kind of breaks the space in half. So we're really trying to keep it as one room, rather than sort of having sort of two areas, your bedroom and then in front of the shower. So yeah, in terms of what it actually looks like, we use various products inside the van to waterproof the whole area. An important thing is our shower trays are made out of sort of GRP, like glass fiber.
So these aren't the same standard shower trays that you'd find in a domestic shower.
No, I mean, you can put domestic shower trays in. They are a bit heavy, just obviously sort of 25 kilos upwards, really. And there's plenty of conversions that have proper shower cubicles in, and they're fine. We've just got a method with our sort of GRP trays that they sort of are very durable. The alternatives that you see are sort of acrylic, like plastic shower trays. But we found that they don't stand the test of time. They will probably crack due to heavy usage. If someone's living in it every day, then that's something that you don't really want happening, is any sort of leaks or water sort of getting into the subfloor. So yeah, the shower tray is critical. The look of our showers, essentially, we don't have sort of loads of tiles everywhere because of the weight and the vibrations whilst you're driving. There's a product by a company called Rico Surfaces, and what they produce is a plastic shower panel that's almost like 3D in its design, made from PVC or acrylic, and they look exactly like metro tiles or ceramic tiles that you'd find in a shower. So they're perfect for van conversions because they give the aesthetic. They're fully 100% waterproof, and they're lightweight because they're plastic. So.
Where does the water come from when you shower in a van?
Have you got so we have water tanks to help maintain the space in the living area. We have underslung water tanks and an underslung LPG tank, which is the fuel for your boiler and your cooker. The water tanks, we're able to get sort of 82 litres worth of fresh water and 60 litres of wastewater. The boiler has a 10 litre capacity, and then obviously the pipe work. So we say that you're carrying about 100 litres of fresh water. If you're going to be traveling in the winter, then we can install a heating element into your freshwater tank, just to prevent your tanks from freezing. But yeah, we also insulate those as well.
So yeah, so much to think about. I find it really, really interesting. And you run the business. It's kind of you and your wife that run the business together.
Yeah.
How do you find kind of day-to-day working together, starting a business? Because army to business owner is, quite a very different in the army. I'm guessing you're being told what to do every day, and then as a business owner, you're telling other people what to do every day. So that transition was probably quite different as well. So how have you found sort of running the business for the past 4.5 years?
Yeah, it's been great because, like I said, I wanted to get into the trades. I wanted to be more practical. And so my position at the moment, I'm sort of running the project. So my wife and I are sort of 50-50 shareholders. She leads on sort of the marketing, PR, customer liaison, operations, essentially. And she does a really good job. And I run the project. So I'm ordering all the materials. I'm running the team that we've got here. I'm making sure that we're on schedule. I'm logging the hours, but I also get involved. I do the utilities, so sort of the gas installs, the electrical installs, and the water plumbing, things like that. So we have a good sort of division of labour. We have our job roles, and I think what works really well is our skill sets complement one another. So we pick each other up where we're weak, and yeah, it seems to work. So.
And where do you see Vanlife going from here onwards? You sort of said you did 10, 12 vans a year.
Yep.
Do you want to be doing more? Do you want to be doing kind of, what does the future look like for Vanlife?
So I think so essentially in terms of the growth, in the first year we built sort of 4 vans, and then we did 6 vans, then we did 8 vans, and then we're doing sort of 10 vans a year. We've got sort of two full-time carpenters working with us as well, and a part-time sort of contractor who's doing sort of 3 days a week. So the team is a nice size at the moment. We've got really good quality joiners that work with us on our vans. And they sort of take the lead on the main aspects of the build, and I'm there to sort of oversee and to do the utilities. I think we'd probably look to grow a little bit more, like in the next 12 months, maybe taking on 1 or 2 more sort of labourers to sort of assist those carpenters with the work. But I think it's nice to have a team at this size, maybe 5 or 6, because we want to keep the quality, and we want to keep that personal relationship and personal touch with each of our customers, because they are big investments. And one thing we pride ourselves on is obviously that high quality finish. That we're not looking to scale and produce 50 vans a year, that we're able to sort of run off the production line, because I think there's a lot of companies that are doing that already. What we like to think is that we're providing something a bit more personal, a bit more customized, and yeah, really, like, people have been thinking of these trips of a lifetime for sort of years now, and it's lovely to think that we're able to sort of get the fine details that will make the van perfect for what they need. So,
and you facilitate those, dream trips, and the dream lifestyle that people are creating as well, which is incredible. And the workmanship and sort of seeing what you do, what you create, the end product, they are super. This is a high end, conversions that you're producing. So yeah, I completely get why you don't want to be doing 50 a year and sort of compromise on the quality there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Congratulations with what you've achieved, Oli. It's a fantastic business that you've got. And if for the listeners do want to check out what Oli's up to, how would they kind of see your projects, see your refurbs? Do you want to sort of give them some social media links, Oli?
Yeah, sure. Website is vanlifeconversions.co.uk. Instagram's vanlifeconversionsuk. We post stories on a daily basis. Most of our portfolio is on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel, Vanlife Conversions UK is where you'll find us. And on YouTube, we're doing sort of instructional videos on how to do the conversions yourselves, so helping self-builders, but also giving van tours. So a 10-15 minute video showing you around each of our conversions, so you can see what we've built.
And I know plenty of our listeners have got motorhomes themselves. They might be picking up some tips, and if any of them want to create their own motorhome or to get one sort of with you, just get in touch with Oli, and he'll be able to help you build the vehicle of your dreams.
Yeah, no, brilliant. That'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today, Oli. Been a great episode. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll let you get back to the studio.
Cheers, James. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.